Zooey Mama. Today we are talking about the upcoming September season in Marvel Snap, which is right around the corner. Okay, we just had a patch and some of these cards got data mined with some updates. So we're going to go over that. These cards are currently still data mined. Okay, the season official video is not out yet, but it looks like we are right about where these cards are going to end up. Maybe we see a few power changes, but we have their abilities pretty much down because we are so close to the start of the season. So we have the Symbiote season. Season Pass card is Symbiote Spider-Man. And then through Spotlights, we've got Silver Sable, Madam Web, Aranya, and Scarlet Spider. So I'm going to quickly run through all of these cards, their abilities, and I'll just give my initial thoughts, my initial ratings and predictions for how these cards are going to perform. And honestly, looking at these cards, the season looks really good. Okay, there's maybe one dud in here, but there's some cards that could easily get nerfed a little later on, and we're going to talk about why that is. So let's jump right into it by looking at our Season Pass card. So starting right on September 3rd, you can get Symbiote Spider-Man if you do purchase the Season Pass. He is a 4-cost, 6-powered card with the ability Activate. Merge your lowest cost card here with this, and he copies its text like it just revealed. So Activate is the brand new mechanic in Marvel Snap. You may have heard about it already. It's kind of similar to On Reveal, except it's delayed, okay? So let's say you played Symbiote Spider-Man right on turn 4. Starting on turn 5, you could use his ability. You'd click on the card to use his ability, or you could choose to do it on turn 6. Okay, you get to choose. It's very similar actually to Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck, you can play on turn 1, but you can't see the top card of the deck yet, okay, until he's revealed on turn 1 when the play phase goes through. And then starting on turn 2 and forward, you can click on him to see the top card of your deck. Same thing here. So if you play him on turn 4, you cannot activate on turn 4, but then you choose if you activate on turn 5 or 6 just by clicking on Spider-Man. I hope I explained that fairly well, but the activate mechanic, it's completely new. Hopefully it doesn't have any bugs. It should be really strong because you choose when it happens. Now, this is really strong. Okay, first of all, he's just bigger than Hulkbuster, who's a merge card, but he's also selecting the lowest cost card. So Hulkbuster, if you have multiple cards there, you don't know which one it's going to go to. Symbiote Spider-Man, you will. And the card will reveal again. You know, if it has an on-reveal ability or an activate ability, you can trigger that again because it says copy its text like it just revealed. So like the card's just flipping over and its abilities can happen. So this could be very, very powerful. To give my ratings while we look at the Season Pass variant for Symbiote Spider-Man, in terms of being fun, you know, I think this is good fun. Look, it's a new mechanic. Okay, we are going to have other cards this season with that mechanic, but it's new. It's fun. He's merging with a card. That's going to be very interesting, trying to find out the best combos to merge with. You can trigger things again. I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of room to experiment with. It's kind of refreshing. In terms of being flexible, you know, I think he's okay. Not every deck wants Hulkbuster, and while Symbiote Spider-Man has, I'd say, a bit more potential in terms of flexibility because he can trigger on reveals again, it's kind of like having a little Grandmaster or Absorbing Man in there, except he's a 4/6. That's just decent stats. Not every deck is going to want it. Okay, not every deck is going to want this 4-cost thing to trigger something or combine with it. Okay, maybe he sticks to some move stuff, you know, combining with Human Torch or some destroy stuff, even some Phoenix Force stuff. There's a couple different ways it can go. I think his flexibility is just okay since, you know, 4 costs is a lot. In terms of being competitive, however, I think at a minimum he's good, but being that this whole activate mechanic is new, and the fact that he's merging and triggering something again, if it was on reveal or activate, you could trigger it again. I could see this card just finding some combo that's broken. Okay, just finding like one deck, one specific combo that takes over the meta and ends up getting nerfed, whether Symbiote Spider-Man gets nerfed or the combo he's with getting nerfed. Okay, that's what happens sometimes when you just have new mechanics, new ways of kind of doing things. There's some old existing card that turns out just to be too good when synergized. Okay, think of how long Dr. Octopus was in his previous form. All of a sudden, Arishem comes out, and it's like, oh, Dr. Octopus is too strong. We need to nerf him. That could easily happen with a card like Symbiote Spider-Man. So I'm very excited to see where he lands, but I think as a baseline, he's going to be good, and they're going to want him to be good to promote this activate mechanic and just the season as a whole, because it's a fun season. They're going to make sure this is a good card. Now in spotlights on this very first week of the September season, we're going to have Silver Sable coming out alongside Mockingbird and US Agent. Sable is a 1-cost, 1-powered card with the on-reveal ability, steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck. Okay, so this is actually on reveal. This is not an activate. So let's say turn 1, you play Silver Sable. She's going to bring herself to a 1/3. And your opponent's top card of their deck has -2 power. If they end up playing that card, Silver Sable is essentially a 1/5. If they don't play it, you basically just have a vanilla 1/3, assuming you don't get hit by Shadow King or anything. So my early predictions for Silver Sable, in terms of being fun, no, I don't see it. I mean, there's really nothing new here. Okay, she's on reveal, she's not activate, she's going to be a 1/3. Or 1/5, but it's not even like crazy power like Selene, where you're giving your opponent's card -3 and you're giving your card -3 that you hope to hit a goblin or something. I mean, it's really just she's a 1/3 that's giving your opponent's top card -2 power. It's very straightforward, stat stick, nothing too exciting here. In terms of being flexible, honestly, it's pretty flexible. Okay, you could just put that in like any deck. She doesn't require synergy, right? She's not specific to synergizing with Clog or Junk decks like Selene. I mean, you could just play her for stats. Think of like a Hydra Bob, right? In terms of being competitive, though, I don't know why you would run this over Hydra Bob. I mean, Hydra Bob is just a 1/5. You can play the Hood into the Demon to get a 1/6. Sable is a 1/3. Sometimes a 1/5 if your opponent actually plays the card that she hit. If you play her on turn 6, she's always a 1/3. Okay, if you play Hydra Bob on turn 6, he's a 1/5 still. So this card just doesn't do anything new. Stat sticks are the most replaceable cards in Marvel Snap. And if you have cards out there that just have bigger power than them for the same cost, it's just not worth it. So the fact that Sable caps out at 5, when we've got plenty of 1 cost that can hit 4 power, hit 5 power, or even a flat 5 power like Hydra Bob, I just don't think she's worth running. Okay, in actual power, it's not terrible, but because we have Bob, who just came out recently, this just seems bad. It seems like you would never run her over Bob. Maybe you do it in a full Zoo deck alongside Hydra Bob and Martyr, Ant-Man, Rocket Raccoon, right? Maybe she's like the 5th choice there, but I'm not too excited about her. This is my friendly reminder that if you're enjoying this video, to give it a like, give it that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because we cover all kinds of new card content on this channel alongside with a Series 4 and Series 5 buy guide tier list to help you decide how you're going to spend your very precious resources. Coming on September 10th, we have Madam Web in spotlights alongside Silk and Alioth. You like how I said Madam Web, not Madam A? You guys roasted me hard on that video. I don't know why I pronounce it like that. I just do. I'll try really hard to say Madam Web. Now a 2-cost, 1-powered card. She was originally data mined to have 3 power, which I thought was going to be absolutely nuts. But now she's down to 1 power. With an ongoing ability, you can move one of your other cards away from here, being Madam Web's location, each turn. So similar in a way to Hercules, but you don't need to trigger a card to move in, right? Hercules, you need to somehow move a card into his lane and he pushes it back out. For Madam Web, you just play her and you play another card on her lane, and then once a turn, you can move a card on her lane away from it, okay? She will just trigger it herself. She doesn't require you to do something like Hercules, and she's even cheaper at a cost of 2. So in terms of being fun, I think she's actually amazing, okay? Move decks are fun. Move cards are fun. There's some shenanigans you can do. Things get crazy. It makes it pretty hard to play. Like strict, move players, even Phoenix Force, can be hard decks to play. They have fairly high skill caps. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's just fun because you see utter shenanigans, okay? I think Madam Web, great concept, fun card. In terms of being flexible, no, not at all. And, originally I had her as flexible when she had 3 power. Because I'm like, you know what, Madam Web, you can just play as a 2-3 in a normal deck. You don't need to be playing a move deck. You just play her as a 2-3. You play, some 3 costs on top of her. Let's just say it's Cassandra Nova. And then if you happen to have a hard location to play in, you can then move Cassandra Nova into that location. Madam Web kind of gives cards like a Jeff or Nightcrawler ability, right? You play on her and then you can move it away once, but you can choose which cards that happens to. You can move over Cassandra Nova, right? It's like giving Cassandra Nova the Nightcrawler ability. And so I thought as a 2-3, she could just be a general fit. Like maybe she's the new go-to 2-cost card. Maybe she even replaces Jeff, because you can make other cards kind of similar to Jeff. But now she's a 2-1. That's a bit of a tough sell, okay? Playing just 1 power, you are really going to want some synergy. I don't think you just play a 2-1 in some random deck and hope for hard locations like Sanctum Sanctorum or something, right? If that was the case, War Machine would be the best card in the game. You can't expect to get lucky with locations here. You are going to have to synergize. Being she's 1 power, she's going to be in a move deck, okay? However you're synergizing is up to you if you're just trying to get a discount on Miles Morales. But I think you are probably sticking her in move. Maybe alongside Hercules, have cards just pinball back and forth between Madam Web and Hercules. That could go really big, but it is very specific. In terms of being competitive, I think she's good. Again, I think the power reduction really hurt her. I think in move decks specifically, she could be a staple. Now, if move decks become meta, then maybe Madam Web is amazing in terms of her competitive level. If they just become good or decent, I think she will be good. Okay, I think she's a bit limited by the archetypes where she can find a home. Next up, we have Aranya, who comes to Spotlights on September 17th alongside Miss Marvel and Sage. Aranya is now a 1-cost, 1-powered card, originally data mined as a 2-2, with an Activate ability. Give the next card you play plus 2 power and move it to the right. I think this is the best card of the season. I think this is amazing. This might be the new best 1-cost card in the game. Okay, and I'm going to explain why that is. Before I even go to my predictions, my ratings, I'm just saying this is crazy. So first of all, Aranya gives the next card you play plus 2 power. That's Forge. That's what Forge does. Forge is a 2-2. Forge used to be a 1-1 that did that, and then Second Dinner said, hey, that's too strong. Let's nerf it and make it cost 2. Well, Aranya is old Forge already, just off the bat. Okay? Just to start. It gets better, but just start, she's old Forge. Second of all, she can move a card to the right. Okay, so now it's like old Forge, which was overpowered, but you can also move something to the right. So if you do get lucky with a location that's hard to play in, you now have some tech. Okay, it's kind of like a Jeff or Nightcrawler or Nocturne moving over. You now have some tech and utility, not just power. Okay, if you combine that with something like Human Torch, you give Human Torch plus 2 power, say on turn 2, and you move it to the right, which then doubles it again. I mean, Aranya would take Human Torch to 6 power by turn 2. Okay, that's already a nuts combo. But even without Human Torch, you already have plus power. Like Forge, you can move a card that's just good utility, and it's Activate. It's not on reveal. So when you play Aranya on turn 1, starting on turn 2 or later, you can activate the ability. That means you can play something normal on turn 2. Turn 3, click on Aranya to activate her, and then play Brood. Okay, you don't have to do Forge into Brood. You can do Aranya, good 2-cost card, into Brood. Maybe you don't draw Brood until turn 6. Well, you activate on turn 6, and then you play it. Okay, it's like waiting here. This delayed ability is so good. You no longer have to play Forge right before the next card. You just play Aranya as early as you want, and then you use her ability whenever you want. Okay, maybe you're going to play Sebastian Shaw on turn 6. You activate her then. This is so good. It is like 3 times better than old Forge, which was already busted. And we know that because he got nerfed. I mean, this is nuts. This really is crazy. I can't believe they made her cheaper. She's significantly better. I currently see her as getting nerfed and maybe back to a 2-2 pretty quickly. So my ratings for Aranya in terms of being fun is that she's okay. She's better than a standard stat stick because she's adding power to a different card, she's moving a card, and she has this delayed gratification. You get to choose when that power happens. In terms of being flexible, I think she's amazing. She's a 1-cost card. What other cards wouldn't want an extra 2 power, the ability to move if needed on the turn that you want that 2 power to come down? Okay, it's kind of like a spell card. You kind of just like choose when it happens. I mean, super flexible because she's so cheap. This is insane. In terms of being competitive, I've already said it. I think she's busted. Okay, my first impressions is that this is just too good. The forge ability that's just waiting there, sleeping there for when you need it. I think it's too flexible and it's too much value from a 1-cost card to stay like it is forever. And the last card of the September season coming to Spotlights on the 24th is Scarlet Spider, who's in there alongside Scar and White Widow. Scarlet Spider is a 4-cost 5-powered card with another activate ability. Add an exact clone of this to another location. So you can play Scarlet Spider on turn 4. That means on turn 5 or 6, you can activate them. Okay, now it is just another location, so it's going to be random. If you play Scarlet Spider on the left and you have room in the middle location and the right, that clone could go to the middle to the right. Now, if you buffed up Scarlet Spider, maybe you played Aranya turn 1, coming to turn 4, you activate Aranya and you play Scarlet Spider. He's now a 4/7. You activate him, and he only activate once, okay, and the clone cannot activate again. It's not like Phoenix Force on multiple man, we can make a bunch of copies. But he'll be a 4/7. You activate him on turn 5, for example, and now you've got 2 4/7s in different locations. That's a 4/14 that can't die to Shang-Chi because it's split across 2 cards and 2 locations, and it won't lose all of its power to Shadow King. Shadow King would only take away 2 power in 1 lane. But you could go further than that. Maybe you hit him with Gwenpool. Maybe you trigger in Ironheart on turn 5, and then on turn 6 you activate the Scarlet Spider, right? Again, you're going to choose when this cloning happens, and anything past 7 power already gets crazy. I mean, this is literally a cheaper, better Black Panther. Okay, you can't get the Wong shenanigans going because he's not on reveal, but he's just going to get more value than a card like Black Panther can. My ratings for the Scarlet Spider, in terms of being fun, I think he's okay. He's better than just a stat stick. I think it is going to be cool to see how he splits, how you can manipulate his power, then split him. But it is all power-based. He's not adding any kind of utility or something really unique. So I think he's decent in terms of being fun. In terms of being flexible, I think it's good. You could just play him as a 4/10. Is the thing, right? You could just play Scarlet Spider on turn 4, have no synergy for him, not buff up his power at all. Turn 5 or 6, you just clone him. You now have a 4/10 that's easier to play than Obsidian or Crossbones or Tuma or everything. And you split the power, so he's a 4/10 that can't die to Shang-Chi. I mean, he's just already the best 4/10 in the game. It's pretty simple. In terms of being competitive, I think he might be busted. Okay, I already said he's just the best 4/10 in the game. But if you pair him up with Aranya, who I think is about to be the best 1-cost card in the game, he's a 4/14 already. Right? And, we've got Gwenpool in the game. We've got cards like Brood and Sebastian Shaw. These cards all synergize with the power buff. I mean, this could get out of hand really fast. If you're cloning a 4/7, 4/8, if you make them a 4/10 and then clone them, now you got 2 4/10s. It's just way too hard to keep up, right? Your opponent's only going to have one Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's not going to clone himself. And so you can get so much value out of just this one card. I could see this card also being broken and maybe having to tweak him later to be like a 4/4. The fact that he starts off with a lower cost and more power than Black Panther when he clones himself, which is essentially a doubling of his power, and Black Panther doubles, but it's crazy. This is just like power creep. I mean, this could also be a card where he just finds some good synergy, and then it's really hard to counter, and is broken, and it gets nerfed later on. So we're going to have to see. So that wraps up my initial impressions and predictions for this September Symbiote season that is right around the corner. Let me know what you think of all of these cards. Again, I think Aranya is the clear standout, huge power potential, 1 cost card, super flexible. On the flip side, I think Silver Sable is the most skippable. She's also a 1 cost card and fairly flexible, but very kind of standard, boring. You can't really combo with things to, get some crazy strong combos going. I don't see her ever being broken. Let me know which of these cards you're most excited for, whether you think it's going to be the strongest card of the season or you think it's just going to be really fun, maybe ping-ponging cards with Madam Web or, Symbiote Spider-Man doing crazy stuff. Let me know what you think of in the comments below. And until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.